Hey everybody, welcome back to Magic Orthodoxy. My name's David, and today we're going to look at Dragon Scale. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. That's right. Today we got a Magic Orthodoxy exclusive. We're going to look at Dragon Scale. So many of you have asked me to review it, and they said, hey, I want to see this. I want to know what it does. And I hear you. I get it, but I don't have it either. I don't have it either. But I wanted to do this for you. I wanted to make the information available to you. And about 5,000 of you went to Blackpool, right? And Penguin Magic took this to Blackpool. And so if you went to Blackpool, you probably got to see Erik Tate demo this for you. And I don't know, tell me how that was like. Did it blow you away? Was it everything you thought it would be? The rest of us, there's another 5,000 of us that didn't get to go to Blackpool. So this video is for the 5,000 of you that didn't get to go to Blackpool. I did not get to go to Blackpool. I didn't get to see Dragon Scale demoed. So I just made a call to Erik Tate. I know he's got one. And I said, hey, Erik, is it okay if I interview you? And then you can show my viewers the same thing you showed people at Blackpool. We want the same treatment, right? We want that same exclusive. So get ready. Erik and I are going to sit down and we're going to uncover everything about Dragon Scale. No stone left unturned. Let's go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is David. And of course, I am here with Erik Tate. Hello. From penguinmagic.com, which is awesome. And I haven't done a lot of these interviews yet, so just still, feeling my way around. But huge thank you to Erik for joining us here today and for showing us Dragon Scale. He's going to show us Dragon Scale today. And even before we get into Dragon Scale, I just want to say, man, Penguin Magic has been so much fun since you've come on board. I always enjoy seeing you in the videos, seeing you out on YouTube or the things that you're doing out on the social medias. So I think just as a fan, I really enjoy what you bring to Penguin Magic. So thank you so much for doing this for me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I think, like, just straight off the top, I wouldn't be as good at my job if Nick LeCapo wasn't as good at sort of passing on important lessons in this role. There's not, when Nick and I talk about this kind of stuff a lot, there's really not a lot of people who've sort of been in our position, especially like, and not just at Penguin Magic, but just like across the sort of like, magic industry landscape. And so being able to learn from him and Dan Harlan was very helpful, and so it's not all me. It's I've got some great teachers.
Oh yeah, because I remember way back when Penguin always had a YouTube channel, but it was like dormant for a really long time, and it had like a generic banner with like some cartoon kids on it, and it had like a random address, and you'd go back and like, is Penguin gonna post anything? And then, when you and Nick came on and everything kind of changed over, it's just a whole bunch of life just got breathed into videos and social media. So it's been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun for us too. We read every comment and we, read every email, check our Instagram, mentions all the time. And we love going to conventions and meeting, Penguin fans. I was just at Blackpool. And so many Penguin fans came to the booth to A, see the Dragon Scale, but B, just talk to us about all the stuff that they're really enjoying for us. And it really is humbling to have that many people come and talk to you about the content that you're making, because I'm just sort of like here in a studio by myself sometimes. So it's great. It's great hearing that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So Dragon Scale, wanted to talk about it because probably either people don't have it, or they've only heard about it, or maybe they haven't even heard about it. And I think maybe one of the things that's kept people away, obviously it's like 300, so it's way more expensive than normal people or normal tricks that we might buy, because the average price trick is maybe in the $40-50 range. So I thought, let's do this. Let's sit down. Let's maybe tell people exactly what it is, maybe dispel any, worries that somebody might have, and kind of show them how it could be practical, show them how they can incorporate it into their own routines. I mean, first, I think the name itself, I don't know who came up with the name. That person needs a Grammy or an Emmy because it's two things.
I
Because it's a scale and dragon kind of implies like big or menacing or
yeah,
best, but then also dragons have scales. So
it's
it's a two
I
part
don't
it's a two.
I don't know exactly where the name came from, but I love it. And it's when you're pitching on the stand in a convention style format, you always want to have like a little joke to have fun with people because I am trying to sell you, but also like let's have fun. And the thing Dragon Scale was such a gift because I was able to say dragons are a myth, but this thing will make you a legend, which was I've been oh man, it felt so good saying that. But
Did
let's
you come
talk.
up with that?
I came up, yeah. I mean, when you demo something at Blackpool, you basically keep doing the same thing over and over again for 5,000 magicians. So at some point, that came out of my mouth. But I
Yeah.
think a jar may have named Dragon Scale, or maybe somewhere on the team. I'm not sure, but I should find out who named it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So I have an overhead camera that I'll switch to in just a second.
Okay.
But before we get there, at a very high level, what Dragon Scale is a high precision electronic scale that can talk to your phone, and it's accurate to within less than one playing card. And what that means is that if the scale knows the order of the cards, it can tell when you remove cards the weight differential, and then take that weight differential, turn that into the number of cards that were removed, and tell you things about the cards that were removed, such as the card that was cut to, or a number of other things. And I'm going to switch scenes here so you can actually take a look at it. And this is actually the unit that I had in Blackpool. And I think normally with magic trick stuff, uh, and this is something that reviewers are very good at, is you tell us as much as you can about the product without giving away the secret. I think in this case, we're just going to go ahead and give the game away because in the demo we tell you everything. So I may as well show you everything that it is. So if you take this deck and you cut a packet, what's going to happen is it's going to tell you a bunch of information. And I don't know how well we can see this, just because it's hard to focus some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I know that this packet that I cut to the three of hearts. I can also tell that there's 15 red cards, 13 black cards, six clubs, nine hearts, seven spades, six diamonds. There's five court cards, and if you add up all of the individual pips, it would come to 174. What I think is also interesting is that if I cut again, a second little thing pops up here. Now, this is all the information for this packet, and it will continue to do that over and over and over again. I'm getting notifications here because Craig Petty's Magic TV has uploaded something. But this is not the only information it's collecting. If you go a little deeper, it's collecting lots of information, right? It's collecting the current value, the count, the reds, the blacks, the odds, the evens. It knows the card order. It also knows the top card of the deck. So this is the ace of diamonds. It can even examine the number of cards that are in this packet or the identity of those cards and evaluate. It's kind of hard to see because my light is glaring here, but it's giving you, if you were to take the best cards out of here, what the best possible poker hand could be. So there's lots and lots of information that it's giving to you because this knows mnemonica. So and it is very dynamic in all of this stuff. Now, I know that the first question that I would get when I was showing this to someone is, "Hey, Eric, I don't want to perform with my cell phone out just like this." Well, how can I get the information? Well, first of all, there is a discrete mode, so it's not going to come up on camera, but it's actually showing that information here. My phone looks like it's off, and there is support for tilt sensing, and you can actually set the tilt. So if you had your phone out, it would look black, and then as you moved your phone, it would illuminate just the area of the screen where it's giving you information. And so in the act of moving your phone, you could get the peak. However, uh, I also have, sorry, discrete mode is so discrete that sometimes it's hard to see where it is. Um, the other thing it can do is I can, sorry, I'm an uneven surface here. but it can also send it to my watch. So it has support for Apple watches right out of the box, and support for iOS watches. I think it's Gear OS is what it's called, is coming very, very soon. The trouble there is that, as everything with Android, there's like a million different flavors of it, so we have to do a little more work on the back end to get the graphical interface to go. But the upshot of this is my phone doesn't need to be in play. I can have the app open on my watch, and I can say I'm not gonna look, and I'm looking straight at my watch. So that happens as well. And the last thing that's really fascinating, and there's no good way, I was actually thinking like this is one of the ways that I could do this, but because we're doing this over Zoom, it'd be difficult. It has Bluetooth support, and it can talk to an earpiece. So what that means is that there's all kinds of spy earpieces that are Bluetooth enabled, that are available on Amazon. And I have an
Yeah.
in-ears device, and you cut this, and when it sees the jack of clubs right here, it'll tell your earpiece the jack of clubs. So you can literally have it whisper to you over and over and over again, about all kinds of stuff. Let's talk about a few other things that are important. Is
So you
you
could
may
do
say
that. So technically, you could do that. You could turn your back,
yes.
and you could have what, four people cut the deck?
You could have four people cut the deck, and then it would whisper to you, Jack of clubs, two of hearts, seven of spades, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Uh, and remember, I said that this is the model that I used at Blackpool, and I'm bringing that up for a reason, because what you actually get is this unit
Mm.
and this box. So
Okay.
what I didn't want to have happen in a live demonstration situation was for somebody to go, oh, well, everyone knows Erik uses marked cards because he's always talking about the Penguin marked cards. The scale screwed up. Erik's cheating and using the marked cards. Well, these Jerry's Nuggets are definitely not marked. And so all I did
Sure.
was cut a hole in the bottom of the box, and I just taped these over here for security and threw it right on the unit. It actually comes with a rider back deck shell that is very durable. And spoiler alert, this is the same gimmick that you get with Blizzard. So when you buy it, you basically get, I can't remember exactly
Yeah.
who figured it out, but we were like, do we really want to cut up boxes, or do we want to tell people to cut up boxes? And somebody put this right on top, and it fit, and it worked, and it was amazing. It was so good. So this is the actual unit here. Um, there's some important things that I want to point out about this thing right here. So it's the size of a deck of playing cards. It charges with USB-C. It's got one
Okay.
button on, one button off. And to me, the most important thing on here is this CE right there. So not every electronics manufacturer has done this, but they're supposed to. Is you're supposed to get anything that sends signals out cleared by the FCC, and in the case of the European Union, you get it certified by the European Union. Um, I'm a full-time working professional. It is very important to me that any electronics that Penguin sells have this certification, because I know that it's not going to set off a pacemaker or crash a plane. Like, that's the reason you get that stuff tested. So
Yeah.
that was not cheap, and we did that.
Right.
And for the European customers, we knew that USB-C was being mandated, so we made sure that it was going to be USB-C compatible. So this is it. You can hide it in just about whatever you want. I gotten a lot of questions about battery life. Uh,
It's pairing with Bluetooth, I assume, right?
it is pairing with Bluetooth. Yeah.
Does
So
it is it going to show up as a Bluetooth device in a room with other people using their devices?
it will, but it's like, if I can show you sort of, it looks on here. I don't know if you can make that out, but it says DS3466056. It doesn't show up as Dragon Scale
Second
or
scale.
Magic
Magic device.
Magic device. It shows up. I mean, they might, if you're in a bar or a restaurant, like they'll just think it's like another like Bluetooth speaker or something like that.
Yeah.
So we were kind of mindful of that. Um,
You're going to talk about battery.
oh, battery. So it has a pretty good battery life. I can't tell you exactly how long it's going to last. I know that there is a spec somewhere for it, and I really should get it for information like this. But at Blackpool, I turned it on at 9 a.m. and I didn't get down to about 20% battery until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was just constantly on. So,
Yeah.
and I'm using it way harder than the typical use case. And it says on your screen what the current uh, charge level is. So you're not
Yeah.
going to run you're not going to be in a situation where you're like, oh, is it charged or is it not? Like you're going to know. Uh, you also have so we talked about mnemonica. It does mnemonica out of the box, but it also does new deck order, Cy Stebbins, and Aronson. So you can do those, and there's support for custom stacks. So if you are going to create a new card stack, you can, like, let's say you use a Woody Aragon system or one of the Redford stack, Patrick Redford's incredible book, Temporarily Out of Order. If anyone's doing stack work, you should definitely check that out. You can input that stack and save it. It will also do object stacks. So what that means is, let's say, and these are a terrible example because they are exactly the same size. But let's say I've got coins of different sizes, a penny, a nickel, and a dime, or maybe I add a key or a box of mints, something like that. You can program these weights into the scale and then turn your back and basically do a free will type routine where you could say, uh, you know, Jason, take an object and put it in your pocket. Kelly, take an object, put it in your pocket. Whitney, take an object, put it in your pocket. And then the scale will tell you the order that those objects came off. And the thing that
Wow.
I'm, yeah, so you can do a lot of stuff like that. If you wanted to put a bowl on top of it and then tell it there was 100 objects in the bowl, and then you fill it with like, nickels or Skittles or M&Ms or something, it could
Yeah.
theoretically tell you exactly because it knows the total weight, and if the objects are similar in weight, it'll divide and tell and spit all of that information back out. Uh, the
That's
thing that I'm
crazy.
very excited about is we have custom input stack support coming very, very soon. I actually think that I'm using the production app right here. I believe that it's in the beta one right now. We're just making sure all the bugs are out of it. But what that means is, let's say you don't want to use playing cards. Let's say you want to use a big stack of business cards and you've written animals on them. So, cat, elephant, pig, shark. You cut the deck and it says dog, the scale will tell you dog. What's more interesting is that if you take this idea of items of a similar weight and extrapolate it further, you are not limited by playing cards anymore. You could do this with a stack of Polaroid photographs. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of really, when you first go, hey, there's nothing here that I couldn't do with a deck of mark cards and a memorized stack. Well,
Sure.
we see how fast it comes up here. But more importantly, when you're starting to do other custom stuff,
Yeah.
you do some pretty amazing things.
You could use Uno cards or Trivial Pursuit cards or anything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's pretty neat. I'm a convert to it. I was, you know, I trust my hands more than anything else in the world with the deck of cards, and I was very skeptical at first, but the more and more I played with it, the more I saw potential interactions. The
What was the reception at Blackpool? Like, how did people like react to it when they saw
pe
it?
People were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it. The the amount of I think what separates our scale from all of the others is
Yeah.
that they can all do custom objects, they can all do custom stacks. We focused very hard on how much information can you extract from that stack and give it back to the magician. Because
Yeah.
if you have all of this information at your fingertips, how can you reveal it? So yes, we can do custom objects. Yes, we can do custom stacks. But more importantly, what can you do with a deck of playing cards and how much information can you get out? We're very focused on playing cards. And that's
Yeah.
not to say that ours is better or worse than anybody else's, but I mean, that's where we focused, where others focused elsewhere.
Yeah, because that same instance, if you had four spectators and they were each cutting the deck, you wouldn't necessarily do the same reveal for each one. I mean, you'd tell the first person, "Oh, you cut to this card," but the second person, you'd say, "You have this many red cards," and you'd tell the next
Yeah.
person something different, and they would look like three different tricks, but it was the same thing.
I envision a world where, because it's all wireless and, Bluetooth is pretty good distance. Um, I see performers on stage bringing somebody up and saying, cut a packet and hold it to your chest. And then an assistant off stage just taking all that information and doing like a big confabulation master prediction style thing, and then putting it in an envelope and sliding it into the case, or putting it in a Lippincott box, or who, I mean, there's any number of things you could do with this kind of a thing. And when you start to really think about where you can go with this, there's some amazing stuff. And I
Yeah,
think we're going to try and get one in your hands so you can play with it. Um,
really.
so yeah, oh yeah. I mean, like, it's one thing for me to walk you through all of this, right?
Yeah.
It's another thing for you to actually experience cutting the deck, and a few seconds later, an unbelievable amount of information appearing on your wrist. And so I think that that's what my plan is to do, is
Yeah.
to get one into at least your hands. So
You're in the trailer, Nick's in the trailer, Gregory Wilson's in the trailer. Like, is he on the tutorial, or what's his, is he just performing, or what's his involvement with the project?
I think he's just performing and created some routine ideas with it.
Who teaches on the tutorial?
Nick teaches everything on the tutorial.
Okay.
Yeah.
And about how, do you know how long the file is? Like what people get to experience?
I don't, and the reason I don't is because since since it launched, we've had a couple of major updates and
Oh,
rolled
okay.
out new features. And when we do that, we update the tutorial. And
Oh,
so, like, I think it originally clocked in at like 30 minutes or something like that, and
yeah.
and then there's just been updates. We have an app developer on staff, and we want to continue to support this and any other electronics that we bring to market.
And even now, that still kind of implies that it's not difficult to learn. There's not a lot of like technical stuff or like learning curve. It sounds like it would be pretty easy to start. Yeah, I get out of the box and I can start to see some results pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think I hadn't touched it in over a year before Blackpool, and then I went on vacation in Europe for a couple weeks, and I brought one with me, and I think I relearned it on the train from Paris to London. I mean,
Yeah.
it was incredibly fast. Uh, and we do continue to take it out, and we do continue to test it. In the early days, Nick and I spent a good amount of time on the road at a lot of different venues. And so we would take it in. So I perform at Keller's Comedy and Magic Club in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I was getting all these bad readings. Well, I was on a very plush close up mat. And so we figured out one of the things, and we tell you this on the tutorial, if you're going to be on a close up mat, um, turn the unit over like this and go like that. And what just happened is the part of the scale that goes up and down is here, right? We can see the
Mhm.
border there, and
Yeah.
there's feet that raise it up because it has to be able to move to be able to sense the weight. So if you are on a close-up mat and you turn this upside down, those feet are now lifting the box, and the flat part of the scale is resting on the mat. So it's a different part of the scale that's moving now. So it'll still work on a close-up mat. But if you're on a hard surface, then this is the better way to do it, because now you've got more clearance right there. And that was just one of the things that we were out there doing. I'll tell you another funny story. In the development of this was the scale was really accurate, and the app was working really great. And Nick was just crushing with it, and I could not get it to work at all. I was constantly getting false readings, and it was driving me and the app developers insane. Well, one day, one of the team goes, Eric, are you using your deck of cards? And I said, yes. And they said, try using somebody else's deck of cards. Well, I use multiple corner shorts, multiple short cards, odd stripper situations. So not every card in my deck was uniform. And this is just proof positive of how accurate the scale is. When
Yeah.
you put a deck of cards that has been gaffed into mnemonica, those cards are distributed throughout the deck in a way that it can cause an inaccurate reading because it thinks you're removing more cards than you actually are.
Yeah.
So we've done lots and lots of testing, lots of real world testing, to make sure that when we tell you how to use this, we're not just throwing you in at the deep end. We're taking care of you from the front.
Because in the trailer it says borrowed deck. So I would assume borrowed deck means 52 cards.
Yes, you're not going to be
Yeah.
doing, the deck has to be in a known order. Now, technically, there are some things you can do with a non ordered deck. You can do like a guess your weight style routine, because if you take a borrowed deck and put it on the scale, and there is a discrete way to reset or tear the scale. It'll tell you how many cards are on the scale, and you can do the math to figure out exactly how many cards are in their hand. So you can do some borrowed stuff with it, or if you know how to quickly get a deck into a known order that you have the scale ready for, you can do some pretty crazy stuff with a borrowed deck. But yeah, it's any deck of cards.
How's its durability? Like, is there any special way to care for it?
Great question. It is very durable. One of the reasons that we supply the plastic shell is because this is more protective. Where you will actually have the most issues, and this occurred to me at Blackpool, was if you are using not a Red Ryder back, but you're making a custom box like I did with the Jerry's Nuggets. I had somebody come over to the table, they weren't paying attention, they went down like this, and they crushed part of the box, and so it was dragging on the mat and giving me false readings. Well, if the scale is not working properly because it's something is interfering with it, it's not going to work, right? So I highly recommend this. But the scale itself was not damaged at all in any way, shape, or form. It's an electronic, so I'm not saying you want to be careful with it. I'm not saying you have to be careful with it. Don't throw it in a glass of water or spill a soda on it. But I carried it in my bag for 2 weeks as I backpacked around Europe, and then I get heavy use in Blackpool on the dealer stand, and had people looking it up and putting it down, and I had no issues with it.
It looks like it would weigh about the same as like maybe an external hard drive or something, or
Oh yeah, it's pretty light.
yeah.
My phone is definitely heavier than this. Inside is a single circuit board and a load cell and a battery. So it's not terribly complicated on the inside, but the measurement system is very sophisticated.
So obviously, since there's a high price tag with this, what's Penguin's like support as far as faulty units or defective, or has that even come up?
So couple things. Another very good question. I will tell you straight up, our policy is if it doesn't work, send it back. We'll send you a new one, no questions asked. We also have trained the tech team, our tech support team, to be able to answer questions, because if you're getting false readings, we've learned, like, hey, does your deck have corner shorts in it, or if you got a bunch of short cards, do you have duplicates in there? Um,
Yeah.
check to make sure that the box isn't dragging on the ground, or the box isn't like too low because the box that you made it out the shell out of was oversized. So we
Mm.
we can walk you through the basic stuff, but we but if it's a faulty unit, if it's not reading correctly and not talking to your phone, we'll replace it, and we're not going to charge you anything. The other thing that I think that I should impress upon you is that these are not being made in China and then shipped over in a box. We are getting all of the parts and pieces sent to Columbus, Ohio, and then each scale is made by a magician in our workshop in Columbus, Ohio, and they're testing the scale before they put it in the box. So because of that, we're not seeing faulty units go out. Now, I'm not saying we couldn't send a faulty unit out, or that something couldn't happen in shipping, but when that scale goes in that box and gets shrink wrapped, a magician not only built it but also tested it to make sure that it was going to work. Because
Wow.
this is our first foray into higher end electronics, and we want
Yeah.
to make sure that we're serving our customers really well.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah,
Also,
I wouldn't have thought that.
a lot of the products that are come from Penguin are, if it's a P3 product, are made in Columbus, Ohio by a magician, which is like kind of wild to think about, the fact that it's not somebody who just like is looking for a factory job. It's somebody who is actually going to use, like, they know what they're doing when they're splitting a card or tying an elastic, because they've had to use it in the field themselves, which is
Yeah.
kind of a wild manufacturing process, to be honest. So
Yeah, that's really cool.
mhm.
What do you love the most about it? What's your favorite aspect?
I think the ability to pair it with the earpiece is what I love. I've been playing with some other electronics from other companies in my personal show, and I just got an in-ear spy piece to use with some other products, and starting to use it here is really neat. I love when it whispers the name of the card to me. It feels like it just I feel like James Bond when I'm doing that. But I will also say the amount of information that I can have sent to my watch so that I can start revealing that is it's pretty breathtaking. I mean, the demo in Blackpool was literally cut a packet to your chest, hold it. All right, now you're looking at this card. Yes. All right, now you're holding 17 cards. This is how many. And like being able to reveal that information rapid fire was it was so cool. I've never been able to do stack work before because I just can't get a
Yeah.
stack to stick in my head. And now I can do stack work, which is it's a brand new area of Magic that I've never been able to play in before.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Mhm.
And I mean, as a extra bonus, right? Penguin's always running specials or sales. You spend an X amount of money and you get something for free. I would assume you spend, 400 bucks at Penguin. I think you're going to be able to get every single item that's in Penny Arcade.
Oh yeah, it's you're
And then whatever special is currently running. So you're not just getting, you wouldn't just get one thing, you'd get a whole box of stuff.
oh yeah, it's I cannot believe all of the stuff that we give away for free and like good stuff too.
Ah,
Like, just like
yeah.
why we should charge money for this guy.
Well, yeah, you do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, that's
It's pretty
awesome.
neat.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the big takeaway here is uh I'm not going to say that this thing is for everyone. It's a $400 item. I'm not going to hold you upside down by the ankles and shake you until you agree to buy it. What I am telling you, though, is that this can do some amazing things. And we are always playing with it. And just as another example, we figured this out not too long ago. You don't have to cut, right? You could have the scale set up and ready to go, have somebody say, touch a card, and then you put that down, and then when you put this down like this is the bottom half of the deck. Now the scale knows, and I don't think I reset it since. Oh no, I did it correctly. So so it knows that this is the five of spades now, and so there's all kinds of like little handling techniques that we're going to be continuing to add, and we update tutorials and put it in people's accounts for free all the time. I mean, Cypher is a
Mm.
great example, right? When Cypher came out, it was just here's how you put it in a book, move on with your life. And now the tutorial for Cypher is like 6 hours long with 40 or 50 routines. It's crazy. And we don't always tell people, we just sort of do it. So just,
Yeah.
check in your account sometime. And I think that this is going to have so many more opportunities for that. And there's a Facebook group. So it's not just us that's coming up with stuff. It's all kinds of people. And
Oh,
we're
that's cool.
constantly soliciting feedback from users so that we can find out new things that we can add to the app. And the smarts are inside of the application, not the scale. So
Mm.
we can push out new stuff all the time. And
Yeah.
there's just going to be lots of features that continue to get rolled out. But you shouldn't buy it on potential features. You should buy it for what it can do right now, and it can do
Right.
a lot.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when you see something with a high price point, there's a underwritten thing underneath that that says, well, this is really for a professional magician. A professional is going to pay the extra money because they're going to use it in a gig that makes them money. But with something like this thing, even though it kind of seems like it has a price tag that for a professional,
Mhm.
this trick makes you look like a professional.
Yeah,
Like this gives you powers that you wouldn't be able to, a lot of them wouldn't be able to replicate in the real world, or at least without years of practice.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was in the Ruskin at Blackpool, and a guy comes up and goes, "Well, I know mnemonica. I don't need that." And I was like, "Cool, cut a packet. I'm going to tell you all this information." And he goes, "Could you do that without?" And he was like, "I could do that." And I was like, "Yeah, but could you do that like that?" And he was like,
Yeah,
"No." And I was like,
immediately.
That's what you're paying $400 for." And you know, I think that when it comes down to it, it does sort of like feel like a professional device, and it's definitely made, with professionals in mind. But I can totally see a hobbyist using this for fun. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no one should dictate the way you engage with the art of magic. I mean, if If you're collecting secrets, fine. If you're collecting high-end stuff because you want to blow people away in your, rec room downstairs, go for it. If you're a gadget freak and you just want to play with it and see all the things it can do and never intend to use it,
Yeah.
that's fine too. It's,
Yeah.
as Eugene Berger said, magic is a house with many, many rooms.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this with us so that we could see it. I wanted to, kind of pull the curtain back a little bit and help people just make that transition over and make them feel just more comfortable with
Yeah.
it. I know when it first came out and I think we just heard the name, like
Yeah.
nobody even knew what it would even be. So it's nice that you're able to take some time and walk us through it.
Oh, absolutely. I think that this is, the job of being a magic salesman is kind of weird because I have to respect the integrity of the creators and the integrity of the product, and I can't expose everything. So when I'm writing the ad copy for the website, I have to paint this like word silhouette around what something isn't to sort of give you hints at what it is to be
Right.
as honest as I can. And this has been really rewarding for me because I can just show you everything it does.
Yeah.
And I don't think it exposes or ruins the method because if you're using this, if you're doing any magic trick correctly, the last thing your audience should think is, oh, I bet he's got a smart scale underneath there that knows the order of the cards and is talking to his phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time out to talk to us.
Anytime. Always happy to come on the show and talk to you about our stuff.
All right. Thanks, Eric. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Wow, another one, another interview, a week after my first interview. So been having a lot of fun with these and looking forward. Got some ideas for doing a couple more. I think it'd be fun. Let me know down below if you if you want to see more interviews, or two, if you got Dragon Scale, did you go to Blackpool? Did you see this? Did you pick it up? Did you buy one for yourself? Let us all know down below your personal thoughts. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.